Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to continue to take a look at the scenario where civilization starts over. So in the last episode we saw the Russian Union dissolve. It was a temporary union and that's the reason it dissolved. I also believe a country formed in Laos. Then we also saw Belgium giving up some land to become more stable, and we also saw a crusade that destroyed completely red team. So we take a look at the world and we're heading over to the east because Belarus has now kind of recovered from the war. It's been a while and now they're getting ready. The Russian League, after all those team fiasco, got also disbanded, and yeah, this will lead to Belarusian troops marching in and invading this brown country. They will absolutely destroy these guys. They were pretty weakened by the war. And not only that, we also see the Ladogan Lake country annex some land, dissenting some forces, and the country capitulates. In the peace treaty, yeah, full annexation, and Belarus is becoming even more stronger, like if they weren't powerful enough. And if you guys think that's it, well, no. A few years pass, Belarus fully integrates the brown country, and now they go after this one and they absolutely destroy them. Like, it's not even considerable. It's easy victory for Belarus, which fully annexes the country and now has weird borders. But they will make up with that, officially expanding here and kind of changing the borders. Now we see that Belarus has become the Eastern superpower, while Crimea is still trying to do some resistance. But without the Russian League, it's going to be pretty hard to contain Belarus. We actually see something happen. We actually see a kind of lime country form over here, and they're made of pink team kind of explorers. And this country basically is, yeah, there's basically a little daily Russia update at this point. We also see a gold country forming over here. And now these small counties are also expanding a little bit, but they're focusing on establishing themselves first of all. And they kind of are. Now what will happen? We'll head over to Crimea, where we see that they won't invade any country, they will just take much land as possible. They'll go on a march to Moldova. I also see Belarus expanding over here too. They managed to do that. Crimea is basically no allies. They're kind of isolated. We see some explorers finally locking in and fully discover this. Now we head over also to Athens. Athens is at this point recovered from the war, and this means they can expand a little bit, going into Kosovo, and they can also become pretty powerful. And oh no, why do they have a dispute with this country? We see Athens troops marching into here, and because of the dispute, they invaded, and now they're fully annexed. Yeah, Athens is just strong like that. They're absolutely becoming a pretty strong power. Actually, see these Turkish countries try to do something. This Turkish country expand and becoming a decent power. See this kind of Syrian country expand. Well, Egypt is still kind of having trouble. We see this kind of anarchist state gain one province of Egypt. Egypt will just go on and take over some areas. Not that much really because they're having a bit of trouble. This is the point they're doing. This is all this here. We'll still go on and explore though. The marching and at this point Mesopotamia might discover too. And it might happen. Discover Mesopotamia. Probably also connect each other over here. And we see that the world is kind of getting discovered. There's still some stuff to do though. And over here we see that the Balearic empires fully stabilize themselves and they go on all they have no exceptions. And they fully discover the Iberian Peninsula and that's it. Also see that Pyrenees will try and go on. They're at this point fully recovered from the war. They're Galicia, but they're still called them Pyrenesia. As a old unit. So we see this. And at this point, we're towards the third country forming. We see this Portuguese country, which we'll just call Lisbon, because that's the area where they form. And they will have some disputes with the Balearic Empire. They settled them down peacefully. They do not want a war with the Balearics. Having a war with the Balearics is basically over. Naples is kind of cooked still. We say Milan, I believe, still going on and is covering some of Austria. But meanwhile, here we see that in the Rhineland, they're having some troubles. They're a bit unstable, they're kind of weak after the war. And hold up, we see this Austrian rebellion forming, and they just gain independence. They just gain independence. Rhineland cannot bother to fight. Yeah, but the bad thing is that the, the alliance that kept the world in check has decided to jump them. Yep, Rhineland is getting jumped by Denmark and Line Belgium. Let's see what happens. So we see Belgian troops marching in, and since they fully recovered from the war, now they have a good army. They're a little bit stable now, thanks also to Oslo help. So yeah, they can totally take on the Rhineland, especially now that they're in weak state. We also see Danish troops marching in and taking some land. Also in Belgium a land dispute with the Rhineland. This is also kind of a reason why they decided to invade. Germany is kind of scared but doesn't do anything because they don't want to upset the big powers. So let's take a look at the peace treaty. So in the peace treaty we see that wow, Rhineland doesn't exist anymore. That you're tough like that. Land Belgium is back at expanding now. They became pretty big once again. We also see Denmark gaining some land. We also see two puppet governments get created, but eventually that the Rhineland gets unified from the puppet states, and it joins the world order that they created, the alliance. And also Milan is having some troubles. Basically, Austria will expand a little bit. Will probably Yeah, Milan will have to leave a lot of land to Austria, which is becoming quickly pretty powerful. But now let's take a look here in Northern Europe. Because, yeah, Stockholm and the Baltics are having beef. Stockholm has been kicked from the alliance that keeps the world in check. We can call it the Nordic Order because that's what it is. And Stockholm was kicked because they don't need them anymore, and they actually have beef with the Baltics, which are way more powerful than them, and the beef with the Baltics because of Finland. And guess what's about to happen now? Lose this color, but yeah, we see Baltic forces marching in, completely taking all of Finland. They fully recover from the war at this point, and they also fully take this island with their superior navy. And Stockholm is getting jumped again. Dude cannot catch a break. We actually see Oslo will get involved, they will invade because they're kind of interested in some territories. And this is the end of Stockholm, jumped by the Allies. One of the other OG countries got jumped. But let's see what happens now. In the peace treaty, we actually see Stockholm surviving because they don't actually want to fully destroy Stockholm. Keeping them small at the taste, it's already not. So we see that Stockholm has been fully annexed, like the capital area has been full. The Baltics, which actually in the southern years they decided to occupy this capital area too to prevent some funny stuff happening. So they just take on some. I know these borders are kind of weird. Just take some land and they occupy the rest of it. We also see Oslo expanding and winning their land dispute, and also annex this because it's way better on the map. But it's not the final event because years later that they rebuild, now we see Lapland. Yeah, Lapland has some disputes with the Baltics. Guess what's about to happen now? So we see Baltic troops completely marching in, and also with their navy destroy Lapland. Lapland is still a pretty weak country, even though they kind of locked in. They stand no chance. And to make it worse, Oslo joins in the jumping because they actually want to. And this means that they're winning. We actually see Stockholm joining in and just gaining some land. They're allowed to take land, just not the capital area. So in the end, we see Lapland surrendering to the Baltics. Let's take a look at the peace treaty. Okay, first we see a change color to Lapland because why not? In the peace treaty, we see that the Baltics fully annex basically all of Finland, and Oslo gets some land. Stockholm annexes their land, and Lapland survives, and they're actually pretty good now. They actually get help rebuilding because they now have a new government. But we see that the Nordics are fully taken over. This sword order is keeping everything in check. But now let's head over to here, to Caspia. These still are pretty good. They're being isolated for a while, but now they're probably having to make contact with the Crimeans, which now probably want to migrate east. So we see these two countries forming a spearhead and fully meeting up. And this is basically two words connecting each other. And the medieval ages, the Middle Ages are kind of ending now because Europe is discovering a fully new world and they enter in contact. And for now, they kind of not attack each other, they don't have beef with each other. And not only that, Crimea now has Chinese technology. And Chinese technology was a bit advanced, a bit more advanced than European technology. So now Crimea is getting strong. And they prove that full annexing this country and going on and try to rival Athens and also Belarus. And not only that, Caspia decides to kind of cooperate for now with Crimea. And this alliance might be helpful. Who knows? We see them basically keep making a cooperative effort into fully setting up this land with all the peace deal. Now they got a good border. With that, Crimea is becoming pretty powerful, and now they can rival Belarus again, and also Athens. They might actually be able to beat Athens, I don't know, maybe. Heading over to the true Asia, we see that Laos is try to expand. They actually did. We see them expand. Not only that, we see most most of their focuses is to discover Asia. And you see that in this very small tip of Southeast Asia, we see Cambodia forming. It's a small settlement of a few people. They're probably tribes for now, so it's nothing major, but it's still pretty interesting. They'll focus on setting up their country though. They will expand into this and then they will just chill. We see that the Philippines still gonna be that monarchy anti-Chinese, that anti-Chinese monarchy, the fully settled islands. Not only that, the wonderful exploration continues. They continue discovering Borneo in Indonesia, and they just don't want to stop. They just are chilling. So this is what we see. How is the old Chinese government doing? They're having a bit of trouble, and we see that yeah, the country formed over here. We will call them Guangxi. The Guangxi country has just been formed, and they're actually pretty chill. So chill that not even an aggressive China invades them. The only thing they do is connect with your land. They expand a bit because they need to, but still having some rough times. They're trying to develop, but they're having a lot of troubles. And the insane thing is that if China tries to do something funny, the whole of Asia will unite just to jump them once again. This is not even fun. So we see actually that some Chinese explorers go on and have a really long exploration, I guess. Hokkaido still doesn't have the strength to fully take over Island, but these islands, the Kuril Islands, are getting taken. The exploration of Kamchatka is still going on. Not only that, we actually see this happening. And this happening is pretty fire. And we saw how the world is recovering. We didn't see an expansion from these Balkan countries though. Well, they will try, but they are pretty weak. In fact, Milan is just actually way better than them, way stronger than them. Despite with Milan being ally of Naples, that line still hasn't died out. Yeah, Austria and Germany starting to be surrounded. Weird enough. Gradually in these mountains, it was time for a Romanian country, guys. Another Romanian one, since the two Romanian countries died. This is the birth of Transylvania, which is kind of a tribe which will go on and just do stuff, I guess. But at this point, now they decide to do one final thing, which will be the end of this video. They decide to kind of partition the Balkans to fully divide them up. And so, this is what we'll have. Okay, before I comment this, we'll just say that this takes place in a span of years and it's not all immediately taken. So, let's start commenting. We see that Crimea and Belarus have some disputes, of course, and they're probably going to war very soon. I don't know when though. We see Transylvania gain some land. We see a Hungary country being created because no one wanted that land. Poland basically annexed all of Slovakia. Austria became even more big. Milan has become a bit unstable after annexing these lands. We see that Croatia and Montenegro became a little bit larger, and that Athens is still pretty big, and they're a pretty strong country. And Naples is kind of weak now and scared of all this. Oh, we also see Athens taking some Turkish land too, in a way, because why not? And how is life in Africa going? Because we didn't talk about them. We see that Morocco is getting discovered, and we also see that Carthage is still trying to put some resistance to the Balearic Empire. Balearic Empire is pretty big though, and it probably can't be stopped that easily. Carthage will still do something though, and this is what we see. We also see Mali getting discovered, Niger, and all of this. Niger. Sorry guys, I didn't meant to see that war. Well, you guys can figure it out. It didn't. Yeah, Niger, but in Italian you spelled it Niger. Yeah, I know this is kind of confusing. Thank you guys for tuning in for my Italian lesson. This is my word. This is the map now. And I guess that's it. So we take a look and another episode has ended. I've actually been liking this series even though it's not getting all the views I have hoped, but it's still going pretty good. People still actually I like this series and I will keep it. Also the kind of discover of Iceland didn't stop, but yeah, they fully discovered Iceland. This is nice. And definitely interesting things are happening in next episodes. This is surely going to be an interesting series. And they probably won't arrive to episode 100. So I guess see you to the next video.